Hey, what up? What up? We are back again with another review. So, I know this movie came out last year, but this is me and I'm doing the reviews now. So, I want to kind of touch on this one because I think I've had time to kind of live with it, and I want to give my honest review at this point. So, when the movie first came out, I was extremely hyped about Creed 3. Big fan of the franchise, Creed 1 and 2, Michael B. Jordan, everything that he's doing. So to get the announcement that he was going to be directing Creed 3 and then he was bringing in Jonathan Majors and so on and so forth, like, okay, cool, cool, yeah. The Creed franchise has been great up to this point. So when I first saw it in theaters, I was excited. It was good. Um, I walked away kind of like, yeah, that was cool. That was cool. So a year later, I've seen it a couple times. I don't want to say a whole bunch of times, but I've watched it a couple times, and I'm ready to give a unbiased review of Creed 3. And I'm just gonna be real. Creed 3 isn't that good, really. It really isn't that good. It's okay, but I I think Creed 2 peaked, like with the whole Drago storyline. And obviously, if you're familiar with the Rocky franchise and what happened with that, and Adonis's dad, Apollo Creed. So Creed 2 was probably where things kind of peaked for me. So seeing where they were going with Creed 3, obviously I was open to it, wanted to see it, want to continue to see the stories kind of unfold. Knowing that Rocky wasn't going to be there, it was like, okay, all right, well, let's see, let's be optimistic, let's see. Um, but even taking aside Rocky not being there, okay, let's just push that to the side. I just don't think it was a great story. Like it was okay. You have um, Jonathan Major's character kind of coming back from, he's been incarcerated for all these years and some things kind of went down in their paths. So he kind of comes back, his Damien character, and Adonis is feeling guilty and he wants to help his friend out. And this is where things kind of just get weird for me. So he's helping his friend out. He brings him into the gym, and obviously everybody's against it. Duke's against it. Damien starts training. He's kind of just in there as a, somebody for the current champ to kind of spar with. So they set up this whole subplot with Drago fighting Adonis's fighter, and then Drago gets hurt, and they decide to let Damien have a shot at the world heavyweight champion. Someone who doesn't have any professional fights, and they kind of go back to, oh well, Adonis got an opportunity. He was given an opportunity just like Apollo gave Rocky an opportunity. So okay, all right, we'll roll with it. So Damien gets this fight, and obviously he's changed quite a bit as a person, and he kind of, I don't want to say he cheats, but he definitely bends the rules. But based on how the fight was going, he was already a superior athlete and fighter to the current champion. So he probably would have beat him even without all the extra stuff. So Damien becomes the champion, and it kind of comes out that Damien was kind of playing Adonis this whole time, and they kind of fall out. And there's a couple different plots going on. You got the plot with Adonis's daughter, which was quite enjoyable. It was great, great young actress. I love that aspect. I love that they kept it real and true to the story. That with everything that was going on with the daughter, Bianca's back in her music career. So a lot of the elements were working. So here's another one that stood out to me. The mother, played by the wonderful Phylicia Rashad, Adonis's mom. This is not really a spoiler. I mean, I guess it is if you haven't seen it, but the movie's been out for over a year, so I'm gonna go there. So Adonis's mother dies. they have two other kids that have never been hardly even mentioned in all three of the Creed films. I mean, Adonis, earlier in this film, he does mention the other two kids, but when the mother passes, where are these kids at? So that's something that's been kind of bothering me through the whole Creed franchise. Like, what happened to the other two kids? So, Adonis is retired, and obviously he's being goaded and baited into coming out of retirement to fight Damien. He does. So you get this whole training montage that's normally, happens in the Rocky films and the Creed films. So the montage is cool, so we get to the main fight, and it's just so anticlimactic. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just a weird feeling because I had a lot of kind of stock built up into this one. I wanted it to be great, but the fight is going on, and then kind of, I guess, halfway through the fight, there's a creative decision made to focus solely on these two characters that's in the ring, and there's no crowd, and there's jail bars, and I mean, it's such a weird choice. And again, I respect the heck out of Michael B, and I know, his goal, from what I've heard and I've read, was to do things differently and show the boxing in different ways. And he was heavily influenced by anime, and there was a lot of that stuff that was good. But the last fight, if that's what we're building towards in most of the Rocky and Creed films, that has to be the one. Like, if you don't remember anything else, that has to be the one that kind of takes you out on top. And he just didn't do it. Like, I never felt like Damien was a huge threat to Adonis. They felt pretty evenly matched, if not more in Adonis's direction, if that's, something that I can say. I mean, Adonis has been on top. Damien is obviously coming back to it, and he's much older, so he relies on certain tactics, but obviously Adonis has been a champion, so I never felt like it was a huge threat. And the fight just felt kind of flat to me. So, looking at it from fresh eyes, like a year later, it wasn't a great movie. It just wasn't great. It was okay. And I would put this movie, if I had to rank all three of the Creed, I would definitely put this one last, with Creed 2 for me being peak, and Creed 1 was definitely a stellar movie. So they've already announced Creed 4, so I'm curious to kind of see where they go with that. But Creed 3 was a miss to me, and I know it's going to be a lot of people out there that's kind of watching these reviews, and they're going to be like, T, what? Yeah, if you really just sit down and look at Creed 3, whether you look at it solely for this movie or you compare it to the other two, I don't think we needed this story. Like, it just didn't land for me. It just didn't land. But with saying that, I am excited for more Creed films, so I'm not gonna throw the whole franchise away for this one. But this is one that I'm not going to keep watching over and over again. It's just, I don't need it. Like I said, there were some good things in there for sure. There were a lot of good things. The daughter, Bianca, even some of the backstory with Damien and kind of what was going on. And Jonathan Majors played the heck out of the character. But overall, maybe it was missing Rocky, but in this particular setting, I don't know how much he could have even helped it. So that's my take, man. That's my take on Creed 3. It missed the mark for me.